Hi, my name is Justin Renton, and I'm part of a global communications task force that's been asked to evaluate ways in which we can improve our worldwide communications. Over 80% of the leaders that went through the ICOC 3.0 survey felt like we need to improve our global communications. And, having 652 churches in 144 countries means this is complex. But we wanted to present 5 conceptual ideas for your prayer and consideration before we meet together in Chicago. Number 1 is our leadership communication options. So option A would be that every regional family of churches commits to reading and passing on information to their family of churches and providing information for to be added to the ICOC e-newsletter. Also devoting some time at each of the regional leadership gatherings to educate their leaders about ICOC leadership and decisions that are being made. Option B would be to continue the same methods of communication that have been employed so far. Now, since over 80% of people felt like communication needed to improve, that doesn't seem like the wisest choice, but I guess we're free to make it if we want. The second conceptual idea we wanted to present concerns our media, whether that should be via a subscription model or a collective. In 2004, Disciples Today was begun by focusing on individuals that were subscribing to the information on Disciples Today. And pretty soon we realized this was not a good way of communicating. And so we came together and made a decision that the churches would collectively take up some funds to be able to support Disciples Today. And in 2016, 66% of ICOC churches, representing over 77% of our membership, donated to support the running of Disciples Today, which makes the content free to all. Right now, ICOC Hot News is being funded via subscription model. Over 600 subscribing churches help them to be able to make these videos. Unfortunately, that means that these videos are not available to share via social media, or if the evangelist of a particular church or region doesn't find the time to show the videos, then no one in the church gets to see them. And so this is kind of short-sighted, we believe, because video is the future. Currently, YouTube has 1.5 billion views on their site every month. And video contributes to over half of all internet traffic, and it's estimated to be over 81% of all internet traffic by 2021. Mark Zuckerberg has said that video will dominate Facebook in the near future. It has also been noticed that on Twitter that video is 10 times more likely to be retweeted than any other form of content. And so we feel we need to free up our video content to be shared on social media, to be available to every member of the ICOC, whether or not the evangelist chooses to show it on a Sunday morning or not. The second trend in media that we are noticing, of course, is the move to mobile. So many people around the world are watching their news and getting information from their mobile phones. And so Disciples Today have come together to design an ICOC app that will have global information about things that are happening in the ICOC, but customizable for each local church. And, for any individual church to do this would be prohibitively expensive. But by coming together, we can be able to make this available to all churches. And there will be a demo of this app available at the Delegates meeting in October, so you can see what we're talking about. So we are presenting 2 media support options. Option A, collective support for Disciples Today and ICOC Hot News through a mechanism like the Kingdom Unity Fund as proposed by the Finance Task Force. Option B, continue supporting Disciples Today and ICOC Hot News directly by individual church. The third conceptual idea we'd like to present is regarding being branded or unbranded as a movement. Since we are wanting to be a global organization, we are going to need to pay more attention to our branding. A greater and greater proportion of people who come and visit our churches go online first to search for us before coming to church. In fact, 17 million people searched online for a church before attending one, according to Christianity Today. Our online image is an area that we can no longer neglect. If you search for us, what do you find? Every website and every logo is completely different. Even our global websites differ completely one from the next. If it looks as though we are a uncoordinated, disconnected, disjointed group. With a little bit of consolidation and some clear vision, we think we can make our online presence look like the global movement that we actually are. Attached to the Communications Task Force written report is a concept branding idea for your consideration. So our media branding options are option A, expect an ICOC media presence to use a standardized ICOC branding, and each church have some sort of branding that reference ICOC media. Or option B is that we don't do any kind of standardized ICOC branding. Joining me now to present the option 4 is Lynn Green from Berlin via Skype.
So Justin, we're doing the video. We're already putting into practice option 2. We were trying to do the video. So option 4 is clear channels of communication. As we were discussing how communication currently takes place, one of the things that became obvious is that it's a little mysterious. Where does communication generate from? Who does it go to? How do you access it? It's a little mysterious. And so we have a graphic of the service teams, the ICOC events, Hope Worldwide. We're loosely affiliated, and we hope that all of this gets downloaded to Disciples Today, and then people access it from Disciples Today. But in fact, we know that that's a voluntary access, and people sometimes don't even know what they need to access there. And so between Disciples Today and ICOC Hot News, there are a lot of ways for people to get information, but we're not sure how much it's truly being utilized and how much it's flowing down to each member. And then when you add on top of that, that you have language and culture issues, it's a pretty massive task that we've set before us to clearly communicate what we need and are as a global entity. And so an option that we want to present as a solution to this is for each family of churches to appoint a regional communications director. That could be a man or a woman, it could be paid or part of a staff job, but there is some person that is responsible for communication to Disciples Today and from Disciples Today. You know, a lot of times people will want to go to church around the world, and the information on Disciples Today is not always accurate. People can't always find the church or the church leader or a contact when they really want to meet brothers and sisters around the world. So our recommendation is that we have a point person that would need to be good in English and have a viable email address that everyone around the world could reach this person about their family of church if other avenues have not proved fruitful. Along with that, we feel like there needs to be a global communications director that pulls together the relevant information and has that information flow down to Disciples Today and also circulates it with these regional communication directors. So for clear channels of communication, we don't need any static on those channels. For clear channels of communication, option A is that each regional family leadership appoint a regional communications director for their family of churches. And option B is to keep the current flow within this information system we have. Along with that is our fifth and final recommendation is translation. Most of us know that we can have communication misunderstandings with the same language quite easily. So when you add on top of that different languages, having everyone have to understand or use English seems a bit outdated. We need to be sure that our information is translated into all the languages that disciples speak around the world. And along with that, we would like to recommend that there be some funding to help there be translation provided for ICOC, Hot News, Disciples Today, whatever that entity becomes, that we work with translation. And I think it is great to have even a group of translators communicate with each other about what is important in getting the essence of what we're trying to communicate. So, translations. Our recommendations are option A, to fund translations for our web and video communications, or B, leave all of our communications in English.
These are the 5 options to be praying about before Chicago. We want you to consider carefully that it's important that we get these right. You know, when you read through Joshua chapter 22, you realize that a civil war nearly broke out between the tribes of Israel because of a breakdown in communications. And so we want to take the time, we want to take the effort, and we want to invest the money into establishing a global communication network that keeps us connected and growing. Looking forward to seeing you all in Chicago. Take care. Bye-bye.